Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Straightforward Farming Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, alongside Nick McCormick. Finally.
We're back.
Finally.
We're back.
We're back. It's been September 1st since we released the last podcast. So
Yeah, too long.
we've really dropped the ball on this one, but life happens. We've been busy, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So sorry we didn't deliver, but we're back now, and we'll try harder.
Yep. If you guys actually pay us for this, you might get a little more effort
Yeah.
out of us, but since you don't, you get what you get.
We're doing the best we can.
Yep. Like the wife tells the kids, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So still in the drought belt here. Can't buy a rain. Supposed to get anywhere from a half inch to an inch and a half of rain tonight. We've had just right at a tenth,
Yeah, maybe.
and it's pretty well over. So,
Yeah.
Yep. But
I suppose when it turns on, it'll turn on, and it'll be wet then. But,
yeah, I suppose. But yeah, we made it through harvest unscathed, both of us.
Yeah.
It was actually a pretty decent harvest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wasn't bad. Things went pretty well. It yields were better than expected.
yep.
Being it hadn't rained since a long time ago. I can't remember the last rain we had over an inch. Like,
This is one of them falls that needs to quit though, because people are just doing dumb shit.
yeah, now we're they're just making stuff up to do.
Yeah, they are. It's getting out of hand. It just needs to come a rain and put it to bed. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the cards yet.
No, not yet, apparently.
Nope. So what do you want to talk about tonight? Everybody's probably traveling for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I
getting out
should be on the road here when we release this one. So, yeah. 'Tis the season, I guess.
Yep. For clarification, today's what, the 20th?
20th.
Oh, my
yeah.
calendar's still in July. So that's,
20th of November.
yep. Sure enough.
This year is about gone away. 2023 can go away and not come back. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you there.
Hadn't been all bad, but it definitely hadn't been all good. I'm ready to move on.
Yep. I hear you there.
Yeah. It anything too exciting, really. Nothing revolutionary in the farm world that I stumbled across anyway. Everything was pretty well status quo. So
Yeah, I think so. We both got to run the Amazon CS.
yeah.
Pretty
That
good tool.
that was
I mean-
neat experience, good guys, good company.
Yep. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that that's the end all be all tool. Everybody has to go get one. I'm not saying that, but it's definitely got its purpose. I mean,
Yeah, it did what I was looking for it to do, and yeah, I was pleased.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. It does take a horse to pull that thing, though.
that it does. That it does.
The old Fent did not like it.
You know, the dirt I was in, you can't have enough horsepower in that stuff.
Yeah.
You could put a 620 quad track on a 4-bottom plow and be tough there.
Yeah, I hear you there.
But we got it done.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably some of the muckiest dirt around there where you was at. But
That shit's like chiseling concrete. Yeah, it just,
black clay is what it is.
yeah, it'll grow a hell of a crop in the right condition, but man, it is not fun to work.
Nope, that it's not. You guys got a few four-wheeler rides in throughout the fall. I was gone, so I don't know what the hell I was doing, but it's been a while since I've rode.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. I got a few of them in, but not near as many as I probably should have. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Took the boys deer hunting over the weekend. They had some success. Henry shot a 6-point buck yesterday. They were scratching the Boone and Crockett the further we got into this, and he had a couple tags to burn, so he popped a small 6, which good for him.
Yeah.
First full rack buck he'd ever shot. He'd shot a few spikes in the past.
Yeah.
Shot a half rack one year. So, but he's still got another buck tag left. So hopefully here second season he can plow into something good.
lower your standards, improve your odds,
Yep,
Tony.
that's exactly
It is
right.
what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I have no standards when it comes to deer hunting. I shoot whatever. I don't
if it's
care.
brown, it's down.
Yep. I hate them all.
They all run in front of cars.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
yeah, not the brightest animal in the world.
No, they're not. Nope. They are truly a ditch rat.
Yes, I always get a chuckle out of it. Like, you look to the north of my house anytime at deer season, 12 deer standing out there. Look to the south of my house, a little bit west, 10 deer standing out there. Deer season, nope.
Gone.
They're done. They're hiding out.
Yep.
They must get the calendar.
Yep. So you got any projects lined up for the winter? Anything cool? Going to rebuild a truck, a tractor, a four-wheeler, anything?
Well, I need to do some work on the four-wheeler, no doubt. We'll get to that eventually, I suppose, but nothing super cool. It's just general maintenance. I'm going to stick a clutch in it while I'm there.
Yeah.
Maybe reflash it, give it a little more boom, boom. But
the boys all hopped up. He's wanting a dirt bike now. And I'm like, why do you want a dirt bike? Which it's not that I necessarily care, but it's like, A, be content. I mean, you've only had this four-wheeler that you've had for, 6 months or whatever it's been. But B, we get this massive snow possibly this winter. We're all going to go riding.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sitting there on a dirt bike, not really doing much.
Yeah.
So.
Sitting on the porch watching us go around the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. No, I need to do some stuff to that. I told myself I was going to buy another one, but I'm out of places to put them, and I don't really need another one. It's more of a want than a need.
Sounds to me like you need to build a shed then.
Well, I do need to build a shed. There's no doubt about that.
Then you got more room for toys, see?
Yeah, I've already determined that I've acquired more stuff in life than I can really maintain or afford. So
the maintaining is the hard part.
Oh, my gosh. If you just charge batteries, change oil, and air up tires, it's a full-time job.
Oh, it is. It's terrible.
Yeah. Cleaned everything out of the garage the other day for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, how's that going? Got the whole family coming? You're like the Clark Griswold here. You got the whole family coming in?
The whole family coming in.
Yep. Hopefully they're all listening to this so they can hear us bitch
everybody
about
will be here. And, so it takes a lot of space.
I think we're supposed to do a podcast maybe with some of your family or something.
That's what I hear. We'll see.
So, yep.
We shall see.
If you're listening, I hope you're coming prepared, floated for bear.
Yeah.
We're going to put you on the stand under the spotlight.
Not for the faint of heart.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll make it work. But now the only cool thing, it's not super cool, but I've got a redo tractor that my dad was working on before he passed. So he had started it and then got sick or whatever. So I guess I'll probably taking that one to the next level eventually. It's going to be a couple year project.
And it's a 1466.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to be a couple year project before I get it where I want it to be. But it's going to be pretty badass when I get it done. Yeah.
Which to me, that's some pretty cool sentimental value that, this was the last tractor Dad and I worked on together.
Yeah.
That's almost as cool as the first tractor Dad ever bought or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt.
Knowing this one, the last ones he ever touched, and that's pretty neat. So, I'm anxious to see how that turns out. Don't spare nothing on it. Just
I'm not going to.
Throw the kitchen sink at it.
It's going to be.
That'd actually make a really good TikTok series once you start.
It would. It's going to end up being. It's not my favorite one of all the 14s we have, but it probably will be in the end.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hold back on it. It's going to have more power than it needs, more rubber than it needs, and more paint than it needs, but that's where it's going to be.
Yep.
So
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yep. Like my old 4010 don't mean shit to anybody else on this planet, but it does me. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. So we'll get it there. It's just going to be a slow process.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like to see it once it gets started, and because hell, I remember that tractor sitting around there for the last couple years.
Years.
Just kind of a nothing. I mean,
we didn't do much with it, and then finally decided we should, and did a little something to it, and
I guess was that just a tractor he'd bought to just fix it and sell it?
Local guy here had just bought it, and then his grandpa passed, and he wanted to buy his grandpa's tractor, so we bought it from him so he could buy his grandpa's tractor, and we just let it sit there for
sit there
forever. Need the front end rebuilt and all that, and we did that last summer, I think. And I'm going to get the other stuff fixed on it and put it knee deep in some bigger rubber than it needs, and make sure it's got more power than it should have, and
have you a cool parade track.
And go do dumb shit with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I'm at.
Why not? I mean,
why not? Yeah. Same reason a dog does what it does.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yep. So are you relieved you don't have to go to Minnesota, the only state that didn't vote for Ronald Reagan? You kind of tore up. You don't have to go up there for the holidays.
Yeah, so they're not done harvesting up there because they're trying to jack around with corn, and they shouldn't be growing corn. I don't grow sugar beets. They should stick to what they're good at, and they should be growing sugar beets. They'd had them done by now, but they're jacking around with corn. And so I offered to go up for help. I'm only two stipulations were I wouldn't drive a Freightliner and I won't drive a John Deere. And that's when they said, well, just keep it at your house then. I'm like, well, okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I would drive either one just to help the family out getting done.
Yep.
But I offered more than once, but it's still at my house. So, yep. One of those deals, but it'll be fine.
So now I'm sure the wife's got you running around like a madman, cleaning house, because everybody comes over and looks under the beds.
Yeah, we got all these better than the last time we hosted, where we tore a bunch of wallpaper down and did a bunch of painting. This time it's just been general cleaning and so on and so forth. But
how many years between do you host it every fourth year?
Every fifth.
Every fifth.
Every fifth year. Yeah, every fifth year. So. Yeah, should be a rock star good time. It'll be
But
fun.
how many of them live in Minnesota? 3?
3.
So three of the 5 years you
three of
got to
the
go to
5.
Minnesota then.
Well, so they finally switched it around. I guess it's not every 5th year I host. It's every other year. We broke it up to where it's every other year
Gotcha.
to Canada and back. So,
Yep.
which, it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't Tulane all the way there, and the fact that I can literally be in the panhandle of Florida in less time.
Yeah.
Which makes it really hard to look at the map and say, hey, it's going to snow. Let's drive to Minnesota versus, hey, it's winter. Let's drive to Destin, Florida.
Yeah.
But, hey, whatever.
Agreed.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you said you basically drive to Lake Superior and make a left?
Yeah, and then drive to your damn near out of Minnesota, turn north. When you get to Canada, you've gone too far. Turn around
Go back a half mile.
a half mile and you're there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're all good. Yep.
I don't know how the hell people live up there. I guess when you've lived there your whole life and you don't know any better. I mean, we have enough winter here. We don't even have winter anymore, but it's
No.
still too much for me.
It's still too much for me. I used to make fun of people that went to Florida in the winter from here, and I'm like, now I'm a little envious. Like, that's my goal.
I'm like a half inch away from just moving to Florida permanently. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'm not far behind you. It's like, me and cold weather I don't like hot weather either, though.
Yeah.
So this fall's actually been perfect for me. It hadn't been hot, it hadn't been cold. It's been beautiful.
It has.
But yeah, unless you need, water in your well or stuff like that. But otherwise, it's been good.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you go to Minnesota, then you're going to be real close to Ryan Kelly. Then you're going to have to hear about 4440s and
Yeah.
Peterbilts. And,
Yeah.
Yep. That's W.I. Titan, too, the guy that was on our podcast.
You know what happens, Tony? If you're around the cold for too long, it starts to affect the brain.
It does.
That's
It does.
I'm just telling you, if the 4440 is the best tractor ever made in his eyes, it doesn't say much for the rest of them. Like, damn.
I hope Ryan's listening.
I'm sure he'll tune in at some point in time. I'm sure I'll get a phone call out of this deal. But for the record, I think 4440 suck. So,
Yeah. Yep.
he's like, well, at least the door opens it correct. I'm like, I don't know, the door's in the front, and I have big feet. I can't get through the opening at the bottom. You got to turn around the step and back into that thing. I mean, sure, on a 1466 with a cab, you got to go down the hallway and take a left, but there's plenty of room to do that.
Yeah.
Not so much on those, yeah. But I'll take my 50 Series International over that any day, but he's going to tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree. It is what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I had a big party here in the shop a week or two ago, whatever it was. And
Yeah, it was a great time.
I talked to everybody here for I didn't talk to anybody
Yeah.
for any period of time. I just talked to everybody for 2 minutes and
Yeah.
made my rounds. But yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good time. Yep, good to see everybody.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't get to talk to him long enough, but yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, we need to do shit like that more often.
Yeah, no doubt. We need to start at about 1 in the afternoon, though.
Yeah.
Days are short once the sun went down. And everybody kind of broke off into groups, and
Yep.
it was what it was, but it was a good time.
That was one of the only bonfires in my life that I've ever sat around and the smoke went straight up.
That,
You weren't
ain't
just-
that the truth? Yeah, there
Any
was
other
a
time
smoky
you-
part to it.
You got 90% of the people on one side of the fire, and this guy's over here choking and gagging, trying to get out of smoke. But that night, you could stand anywhere on the fire, and the smoke went straight up.
Yeah,
No
that
wind.
it did. Wasn't a drop of wind.
Yep, that was the night of the time change, and we set the clocks back, and then still stayed there till 5:30 in the morning. So,
Yeah, you guys were troopers on that. Normally that would have been my jam, but I did not pull that off that night. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't make it happen.
if I had a place to actually host it, I would just open it up to TikTok. Just be like, just anybody that wants to come down. But I don't know that I really want to do that here.
No, you gotta have a little bigger facility for that probably to pull that off.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that'll ever happen, but it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, no doubt. Maybe we'll have to pick the farm show or Bowling Green or something like that and open it up. Yeah.
Yep. So what else is new? Anything?
Nothing super exciting. Just
That's how I am. In fact, I haven't really even made that many TikToks lately just because there ain't been a whole lot going on. I mean,
there hasn't been, just trying to get through life.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yep.
pushing through and like I said, said earlier there, my dad passed away towards the end of October, and so just trying to get through all that and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it is what it is. It's life. But, just dealing with all the stuff, like it's just going through, insurance paperwork and hospital bills and so on and so forth. Just it's a ton of shit. People coming in to say hey, which is great, but it just all takes time.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and you haven't got shit done, and
now you're going to reach the point where something as simple to just shut his cell phone off. I got to have a death certificate for this and 900 forms, just to do dumb stuff. And
absolutely, it's death by 1,000 cuts on just getting all that shit taken care of. So, just trying to get all that shit wrapped up and muddled through, and not super fun, but not that he didn't have his stuff in order. It still just takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does. You just got to go with the flow, I guess. I've been fortunate. My parents are still alive and in pretty good health, but your dad was too.
Yeah.
In August.
In August he was fine. So, you just never know. Like I said, it makes you think about things a little bit differently.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
You don't fully understand where some of your friends were at that have lost a parent or both parents until it happens to you, and then you're like, oh, now I see the look in your eye. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yep.
You don't have to verbalize it, like you can just tell.
Yep.
So now I'm in this club that I didn't really want to be in, but here I am. And it's like I said, it's part of life. You just got to deal with it. But
yeah, and luckily your dad lived, a good life.
A good life. It's fine. Like I said, I'm taking it in stride as best I can, but it just changes your view of stuff. It's
sure,
it's hard to work without your right hand.
It is when you've been doing it your entire life.
Yeah, it's like, all that stuff that, I wish I could get an ass chewing for this, or, well, I'd like to do it like that. Now I can do it that way. And I'm like, no, I'd just rather have the ass chewing.
Yeah, I get it.
Like little things. Like I said, I still park the stuff the way he would have wanted it parked, even though that's not where I would have put it.
Yeah.
Just because, well, that's where he would have wanted it, just little things, just.
Well, how many times in a day do you just need somebody to hold something for you while you're.
Just different. You can get through, plenty of people pushed on through that. Happens to everybody eventually, but.
Yep.
But that doesn't necessarily make it any easier. So.
No, it'd be tough. And I guess at the end of the day, you do want to be thankful from their standpoint. In my eyes, children should always bury their parents. A parent should never have to bury a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah,
that would be tough.
Yeah. I had the blessing of working with my dad literally every day forever,
Yeah.
Which is a blessing, a huge blessing. But by the same token, makes it that much harder too, right? Like,
sure.
Not that necessarily, you want to be estranged with your father, but I'm like, if you moved 2 states away, you saw him 3 or 4 times a year, yeah, it sucks, but they weren't part of your daily life. Like in my situation, it was every day.
Yeah. And if you weren't farming, you were in the shop and vice versa.
Yeah.
It was just, joined at the hip.
We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Okay. Well, I need you to do this. Why go do that? Like, like I said, I give $1 million for an ass kicking right now.
Sure.
It's just, it's been fine, but everybody tells you that, you hide it as best you can. You go on, but now you fully understand where some of your friends were that have lost a parent previously.
Yeah.
And it's maybe changed my view on, one of the first things I did was send some texts out to some of my buddies like, hey man, sorry I wasn't as good a friend as I should have been at the time. Didn't know any better. Yeah. My fault, my bad. One thing I will say, I was very fortunate to have time with my dad towards the end. But I'm like, there's something you want to say to your dad? Say it now, because you just never know,
Yeah, for sure.
So like I said, I was fortunate. Like, we got along great. We did everything together. And we still had a few, weeks in there of having those conversations, so on and so forth. Not everybody gets that. So
yeah,
you might want to get those in if you can, they're tough, they're hard, but go ahead and pull the trigger on some of that,
I've always thought too, and who knows, things change, but man, how can you have your immediate family? I'm talking parents, kids, and all this who don't speak. I don't get that. And
I don't
something
get that
could
at
happen
all.
tomorrow and I may be in that position. I don't know, but I get it if it's some neighbor screwed you, whatever. It's like, but when it's your close family,
when it's your blood family, like close family. I'm not saying my dad and I never got into it. We absolutely did over the years. We hadn't got into it for a long, long time of any time period. Maybe there's 20 minutes where we're like,
yeah,
but it was always, right back to it at the end of the day. Back in the day, we might be fussy with each other for a little bit, but not super long. But I'm like, hey, I've got friends that, haven't spoken to their dad for a couple of years, this, that, and the other. My advice is swallow your pride, even though you're right. Like, because everybody thinks they're right, right? That's why the argument started, because everybody thinks they're right. Just pretend you're wrong to yourself if you have to, and go ahead and have the conversation with them and let it go.
Yep.
They're right, you're wrong. That's fine. In the end, it ain't going to matter.
Yep.
Just you had so many good times. Like, why let this one little argument ruin 40 years of being friends?
Agreed.
I mean, I was in a unique spot in the fact that not only was my dad, but he was also one of my great friends.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that. I get that. He was a coworker, he was a friend, he was my dad, and he filled all those roles very well. Like he knew when to be whichever one he needed to be.
Yep.
But you think back over the ass chewing you got over this, or the ass kicking you got over that. It's like, well, I needed that. I could probably use one right now.
Yep.
It's like, I don't hold any of that against him. I didn't hold it against him before. So the fact that he passed away didn't change any of that. That was actually very beneficial. Not everybody views it that way, especially in today's world. But good ass chewing doesn't hurt anybody once in a while. But I'm just telling you, you get the chance, go ahead and say something. Just make sure you get it out there on where you're at with your parents in general. Like,
well, and even the ones that don't speak. And I mean, I guess I'm not trying to speak out of turn here because I'm not in that current situation, but I guess make peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Go apologize to your dad, and if he chooses to still be an ass about it, that's on him. Then.
That's on him. Then you did what you could do.
Yep.
And you can sleep at night knowing you tried.
Yep.
Not everybody gets that chance, and you're going to regret that later.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to regret that later. And it's the little things too, like stuff you don't even think about until it happens, and then you're like, there was a week in there I couldn't turn on country radio, which I don't listen to the radio that much anymore. But like, you can't turn the radio on the off chance that Grandpa's Never Die comes on.
Yeah,
can't do it. Like, you just can't do it. Like, that's a great song, and there's several great songs about stuff like that. You just can't turn it on. Yep. That's going to hit you in a way that you don't know until it happens to you. There's a lot of little things. Like I said, it's so much as parking a truck a certain way or this, that, and the other. Like, it's just the way he would have wanted it. That's the way and for the most part, I'm a pleaser, regardless what, I come off as because I'm an asshole. But generally speaking, when it came to my dad, I always tried to do it the way he wanted it done. Because it was just easier that way. Right. It was easier than catching grief for it later. And he was 99.9% right on why he wanted it done. Like, once in a while, I thought I was right. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but it's pretty rare. So still to this day, I just do it the way he wanted it done because, well, that's, a lot of it was his stuff.
Yeah.
Or, he was in charge. Like, I always had that respect for my dad. Like, the weird part is, it's like, so if I'm going to travel, if I'm going to drive over here, if I'm going to drive to wherever, well, if I blow a tire and my spare's flat, he was the guy that I called, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he had a solution for everything. Like, I never once presented a problem to my dad that he couldn't solve for me, somewhere or another. Like, so you always had that. Now in the back of your head, you're like, well, shit. Not that I don't have other people to call, but like, it's just a different scenario now.
You knew you could count on him. He was going to answer the phone.
He never left me high and dry. Like, not one time ever,
Yep.
Left me high and dry. Even if we were into it, like, we still solved the situation, whatever it was, Tillage, we tore the wheels off a tillage tool, or this field needs work again, and how are we going to get that done and get something else done, like something in the shop, whatever it was. Like, we found a way to solve it together. And now I'm like, well, shit. Now it's just on me. Not that I can't do it. It's just your natural reaction after working with somebody for 40-some years who's in charge.
Yep.
You ask him. Now I don't have that option.
And I have noticed coming into the shop, your dad was good later on in life. I mean, he might have knew the answer and might have had the ultimate say, but he did.
Yeah.
He would always ask your opinion, you know.
For sure.
You get too much of this shit that's one-sided. Well, I'm just doing it this way.
He wasn't stalling. Like,
No.
I mean, back in the day he was.
Right.
But in the last 20 years, it's like, well, you know, what do you think on this? And like, if I was really firm on what I want, how I wanted to do it, he's like, yeah, we'll try it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was good about that. I can't complain about any of that. He valued my opinion at some level. Mm-hmm. So I can't really complain about any of that.
Yeah.
But like I said, you just never know, you know. So go ahead and get it out there. Be nice to your dad. For God's sakes, don't pick a needless argument over it. Like, fortunately, we hadn't had one of those in quite some time. But I think back at some of the stupid shit that we differed on.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say, like, totally not worth it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
At the end of the day, you know, we still loved each other, so we moved past it pretty quick. But not everybody, you know, some people get hung up on that. You want to dig in because, by God, you're right and they're wrong.
Yep.
Well,
you see a lot of that.
Oh, you see a ton of it, you know, and it's just, I'm just telling you, if you're listening, it ain't worth it. Just pretend you're wrong for a minute and just let them win. Like, it's the victory, you know, it's not worth it in the long run. So.
Yep. Yeah, your dad, he was one of them, though. And some people have that knack. You know, I could beat on some of the sledgehammer for 45 minutes and it wouldn't even budge. And he could walk up there with a ball peen hammer and peck it once and it'd come right along, you know.
He did that to me 1,000 times. So the only saving grace on that was like I said, he did that to me over and over and over again. You'd be fighting something. He'd walk up there. No big deal. So this fall we had to take this pulley off the combine. And I was talking to my brother. He's like, man, I've been screwing with this, that, and the other. This thing won't come off. I've heated it. I've done this, that, and the other. I'm like, hold on a second. Dad had showed me a little trick. He's like, well, what do you need now? I'm like, no, I got it. He's like, are you kidding me? I've been messing with that forever. I'm like, yeah, no big deal.
Yep.
It fell right off. No problem at all, you know. It was, so I'm like, that was just him smiling down on me and helping me out a little bit. But, yeah, the old air hammer, got it right out of there. Took like, burp, it was gone.
Yep.
It was done. He's like, I've been heating on that thing and beating on that thing for an hour. I'm like, yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, sometimes it's just sheer dumb luck too.
Yeah.
The fact he probably knocked it loose and just finally just give up.
Yep.
And the fact that I come in late to the game was probably why it worked. But I'm not going to. I'm going to take the credit and roll on.
Sure, absolutely. I've run into that now with my boy. You know, out here in the shop, he'll be jacking with his 4-wheeler or whatever, and something that he can't get or whatever, and walk over, just boom. And if you ask my wife, for some reason the stars align perfectly with her and I. She'll fight something forever,
Yeah.
and I'll walk in, and then within 3 seconds, I've got it. And I mean, just pisses her off to know it. And it's sheer dumb luck on every bit of it.
For the most part, yeah.
Something about with me and her, when she can't get it, I will always get it within 3 seconds.
Yeah, you got to take those victories when you can get them.
Yeah, you do. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, you got to take them when you can get them.
Yeah, that you do. No, but like I say, at least you got to have that much time with your dad.
Absolutely. I can't complain there. I got more time with my dad than almost anybody in America.
Yeah.
You know, if you add up the hours,
Yeah.
I got more time with him than anybody with the exclusion of my mom.
Yep.
You know, I had more time with him than anybody. So,
Yeah, my mom and dad are still alive, live 6 miles from me or less. I mean, no, I mean, we get along great, but I don't see him and talk to him like I should.
you don't see him every day.
Yeah.
You know, I saw mine for 8 hours a day, which, you know, was phenomenal looking back. But yeah. Yeah, it's funny how some people got the knack. Like, I was just thinking of that the other day. Like, I can't count the number of times that Dad got his finger smashed, hit with a hammer, something, you know, like, and just went right on, like no big deal. I hit mine with a hammer. I'm like, oh, son of a, you know, I'm disabled for 6 months. He was like, yeah, there's blood squirting out of that. I got 2 hands. It's fine.
Yep.
Moving right along, you know. It's like, yeah, I'll never be that tough.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
toughest guy I ever knew.
There was a lot of knowledge died that day, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
When it come to old International Tractors, man.
Anything really, but yes, for sure. International Tractors. Like, toughest thing I ever had to do was watch my dad get old.
Yeah.
You know, and that all happened pretty quick. You know, he got old fast
Yeah.
in about a month. I mean, he wasn't young before that, obviously, but he was still running the shop. Like, But he went from being who he was, to working in the shop, running the shop, this, that, and the other, still helping on the farm, to, holy shit, I need you to carry me to bed in the blink of an eye, you know, and, but, you know, taking care of your parents when they're at that age, like, I'm not going to say it was fun the last month or two, but I still wouldn't trade it. Like, I owed him that 1,000 times over, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Like, I would do it again in a heartbeat. You know, was there sleepless nights, and did I enjoy sleeping on the couch, this, that, and the other, watching him, this, that, and no. I mean, it wasn't fun.
How many sleepless nights did they have when you was a baby? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know,
way more than a month.
Like I said earlier, he never left me high and dry. Like, I wasn't about to leave him, you know, because he slept better if I was there. That's fine. I'll stay. You know, I'm good. You know, you get down, I'll pick you up. You know, nobody else, not being mean, but nobody else in my family can physically pick him up.
Right.
You know, that falls on me because I'm big and fat. So I can pick him up. You know, it is what it is. You know, that's just, you know, where it was at, and that's perfectly fine. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I'd do it again in another 1,000 days if that's what it took.
Yep.
You know, but fortunately for him, it went fast. Unfortunately for me, it went fast.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But.
Yep.
You know, it is what it is. But.
And stuff like that is, which I'll be the first to admit, I'm going to be a terrible empty nester. I love having my kids around. I'm not one of these helicopter parents. We've talked about this 1,000 times. I let my kids, I don't let them run wild. I don't mean it like that, but I just let them do stuff, you know, where a lot of people don't do that. But I like to have my kids around. I hope none of my kids ever move far away. Because look at your mom and dad in this situation. They had one son 6 miles one way, one 6 miles the other way.
Yeah.
It wasn't no big deal if you had to stay there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were driving to the Boot Heel, Missouri, and now it's all dicked up with my family, you know?
Yeah, we were pretty lucky in that regard as well. It's like, I know what you're saying. Like, I like my kids. I just assumed they were fairly close to me, you know?
Yeah, I don't expect my kids to live at home forever, but I just hope they don't move 2 states away.
Yeah.
You know?
And if they do, fine.
Yeah, so be it.
I'll make it work.
Agreed.
But by the same token, I just assumed they were close enough I could hang out with them and then their kids and whatever.
Absolutely.
You know, it worked out well. Kids had school off that day. The day passed. So everybody got to see him, talk to him one last time, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, what's that worth? Because a lot of people never
get that chance.
Ever.
You know, I've had several friends whose parents got killed in a car wreck or a tractor accident or something. This, that, and the other. They don't get that chance. So it was very fortunate in every regard, really. Like,
it truthfully went as good as it could go.
Like, if you draw it out on a map, you know, would I wish a few things were a little different? Yeah. You know, we shouldn't have had to put up with part of it, and I won't get into the medical side of the, you know, ridiculousness that got into, because we all know that sucks. Thanks a lot, Brock. But anyway, overall, I got no complaints. You know, it's tough to move on, you know, but you have to, you know. When my grandpa passed, I'm sure it hurt my dad, but I didn't notice.
Yeah.
You know, because he was tough. I mean, like I said, he was the toughest guy I knew. Like, he just kept keeping on. So I'm just trying to do the same thing, which is tough to do, but
sure,
I'm pushing.
Yeah. And he didn't work beside his dad every day like you did, you know.
He did years ago, but he hadn't for the last, 20 years, you know. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, like I said, I always figured he'd have a massive heart attack and die, or get cancer, which he ended up with cancer. But I'm super blessed in the fact that he had a little bit of time in there where we knew it was coming, so we could. That prompts you to have the conversations that you weren't going to have otherwise.
Yep.
You know.
Agreed.
My dad wasn't a touchy-feely guy for the most part, you know. So you kind of got to get him backed in a corner a little bit to have those conversations. We talked about plenty of stuff over the years, you know. What I realized over the course of this whole deal is my dad and I talked about stuff that him and Mom had never talked about. Him and no one else had ever talked about. Like, literally, it was just me and him had those conversations at some level, which was a blessing and a curse, depending on the topic. But, look back and it's like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
it is what it is. But,
yep, he had a good run.
yeah, that he did. Bottom line, don't be an asshole to your parents. Even if you know you're right and they're wrong, go ahead and pretend you're wrong and move on. Because you'll regret that someday. Whether that's tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 10 years from now, just let it go. That's my advice for today.
I mean, I look at some of that, it's like it's your own parents, for God's sakes. I mean, and most of that shit always boils down to money or something so piddly in the realm of things that don't amount to a pinch of shit.
Yeah, it doesn't generally. I mean, it generally doesn't. It, like I said, my dad and I were fortunate in the fact that it really didn't matter what ever happened. We come back around pretty quick, But part of that comes from the fact that I had so much respect for him that I generally wanted to do it his way. Once in a while, I would dig my heels in, but not very often.
Yeah.
Because usually if I looked around long enough, I'm like, well, damn, he is right. I should just shut up and do it his way.
Sure.
There's some wisdom with age,
Yep.
But, yeah. And once in a while, it's like, well, they're trying to do it the old school way, which isn't the most efficient way. And that was probably my biggest frustration in the last however many years. Like, we can be more efficient than this on whatever. Not that his way was really wrong, though.
Right.
I mean, it's still going to get the job done. It's just, so it is what it is. But,
And I think a lot of that comes back to the fact that we've talked before that him and my dad, all of them from that era, they weren't micromanagers. You start into it this way, and he wasn't standing over your shoulder the whole time holding your hand.
my dad was not a micromanager.
No, my dad wasn't either.
He had a general set of rules, and here's what you do, and he just let you fail or succeed on your own. Now, failure there's some repercussions of that, no doubt, but he just let you go, and that we just don't do that much anymore. I mean, I try with my kids, but it's like at some point in time, you just get frustrated. Well, hell, I can just do it myself faster. You can, but that doesn't teach them anything.
Exactly.
And honestly, Dad was just too busy to micromanage it. He had too much shit going on.
That's how my dad was. He just wasn't going to deal with it.
Yeah.
I told you to do this, and I meant it.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done.
And for the most part, he didn't care how you got it. If it took you, it might have been something that he was leaving for work, so he'd tell Mom, tell the boys to do this. So you had all day to do it. If you chose to do it the most hardest way possible and it took you all day, he didn't care as long as it was done when he got home.
Exactly.
So
if this pile of wood needs moved from the woods to the house, you could have borrowed a truck from a neighbor, got a four-wheeler, pull the sled, or you could carry them up one stick at a time. As long as that pile was there when you got back.
He just wanted the end result.
He just needed the wood there when he got home.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was on you. And now he would tell you when he got home, well, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
I'd have done it like this. And generally he was right. But
my dad was king of the 2020 back vision.
Yeah.
Well, I was dumb. I wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah, he was really good at that after the fact. But in his defense, like he had told you beforehand how he would have done it.
Right.
You just chose not to follow that. That's your fault,
And I've always said that's why half of these businesses nowadays have such piss poor people working for them. When you're going to hold somebody's hand all day, nobody has to thank for themselves. They don't have to do anything. And I just don't roll that way. If I have to stand there and show you and just bitch over your shoulder about it, then I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You're not saving me anything.
No, absolutely not. I remember when I was a little kid, Dad had a huge pet peeve if you laid your bike down. If you didn't put the kickstand down and park it out of his way with the kickstand down, that was a huge big deal to him. Which later on, having kids, totally understand now.
Exactly.
And his go-to was, I'm going to cut it up with a torch. By God, you only got to come in one time where he's got the torch fired up.
Yeah.
You'll park your bike correctly after that. Like when he's got flames going, he's got goggles on, he's got gloves, he is ready to cut that thing in half.
Uh-huh.
You'll park that thing correctly from there on out.
Yep.
To this day, a bike laying on the ground sets me off like no end. Like the thing has a kickstand. Why aren't we using it?
It's funny how you pick up the quirks from your dad. Like one of mine is, even though contrary to popular belief on TikTok, when I talk about we're doing all this shit for Earth Day, when somebody is not in a room and the light is still on,
oh my gosh,
drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
And I mean, my dad was a stickler on that. I mean, he could see through the newspaper clear upstairs that there was a light on and nobody was in the room.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way now. It drives me nuts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My wife's dad Always told them to quit, just quit flicking the lights on and off. Just leave them on. Drives me up the wall.
Yep.
I told my wife, if I ever build a house, there'll be one switch. It'll cook every light there is on because that's the only way you guys can manage it.
Yeah.
Drives me up the wall. Yeah, I am with you there. And jumping around the house like Dad's go-to was, keep jumping around, your house is going to end up in the basement. I've seen the floor joist. There's not a chance in hell we're going to end up in the basement. But the basement to their old house wasn't nice. I sure as the hell didn't want to end up down there. In his mind, we were going to fall through, so we didn't jump around much. Now, that was just him not wanting the noise.
Right.
Yeah. But my kids aren't as scared of that fact. No, my basement's okay. But
I try to, for the most part, to parent like my dad did. I don't take any bullshit off the kids. Prime example, my wife, God bless her. She's not a helicopter person, but she's a helpful person. Like anytime she can do something to help, that's just instinct to her. And one day last week, your daughter might even have been involved in this. There was some stupid project out at school, some science deal. So her and Henry had to run to Dollar General late at night to get pipe cleaners or some bullshit. I don't know what it was. I was busy. So then the next morning, I was out in the shop, and she comes out, can you run these pipe cleaners to school? Henry forgot them. I said, nope, it ain't my fucking problem. He forgot them. That's all. Quit bailing them out.
Yeah.
Let him take the fucking F, and next time you won't forget them. And I don't know what ended up coming the deal, because she didn't tell me, but it was something. She said, it was a whole big ordeal. So I'm assuming somebody got pipe cleaners.
I think Kelly came and got them.
Yeah.
On a similar note to that, though, I saw a great TikTok on this the other day. I should have sent it to you. But it was talking about letting your kids do dangerous things safely.
Yep.
And that really hit home. Like, I did a ton of stupid shit. But for the most part, I followed, like, the rules of doing stupid shit. Like, if I'm going to ride a four-wheeler, I had a helmet on, so on and so forth. Like, if you're going to do dumb stuff, and not even dumb, but somewhat dangerous stuff, which, let's face it, the most fun you'll have in life
It's not reading a book.
It's not sitting around here doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the really, 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 the truly fun stuff, the shit you talk about 30 years later that you got by with, was shit that probably could have got you into some trouble or got you hurt, right?
For sure.
You know, the old adage is, if you can't get killed doing it, it's not that much fun.
Right.
There's some truth in that. I did a ton of that stupid shit, but always try to approach it from the way my dad would have approached it, which would have been the most common sense way you can do really fun stuff that's kind of dumb, but not get hurt doing it.
Yeah.
Like doing really dangerous shit and not getting hurt is what makes it fun.
Exactly.
You know? Nobody had a great time getting hurt doing it.
No.
But if you get by with it and you don't get hurt, then it's super fun. And that's the shit you talk about later. So you always try to approach it from that. So that's my other piece of parenting advice for today. Let them do dumb shit safely.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Doesn't matter if it's fireworks or whatever. Like, fireworks are only dangerous if you throw caution to the wind.
Right.
You know, if you're doing them safely, that's fine. You know, take your pick, four-wheeler riding, whatever. Like, as long as you take some precautions, there's still a chance you're getting hurt. You might get hurt, whatever. But that's what makes for great stories and great life. Like,
Yeah.
I feel bad for people that go through life and never actually live.
I'm the same way.
You know,
How many stories do you have from high school that said, God damn, we got my buddy's Trans Am and we ran 30 miles an hour to Sturgeon. Ooh,
Yeah.
living
Yeah.
on the edge. Or how about
Exactly.
the time we ran 140 around the Shumway curve backward?
Yeah.
You know?
And maybe you shouldn't have done it, but like, does anybody own a vehicle if they haven't topped out? Because that's basically wrong.
Exactly.
You know, the fact that you don't know it shuts off at 105 in today's world, that's sad. You should work on that.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Just little things, like I say. You know, you gotta work through some of that. And that's where the fun's at.
Yeah, it is. You got to push past it.
Yeah, not that I'm encouraging them to do some of that, but nobody tells. You remember that night that we just sat at home and we quietly watched a movie while we scrolled through Facebook? Oh, wasn't that the greatest night ever? No, that doesn't make for shit of a story.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that 30 years later. You remember the time that Billy Jim Bob got his 79 Ford buried in the river, and we had to take a 4586 and the biggest log chain anybody
Broke
could find.
2 toe straps. One went through the tailgate.
Yeah. That's the shit that makes cool stories.
Yeah.
At some level, you got to do dumb shit to have fun in life.
My
Just
boy
is
has
what it
learned
is.
more in the last 6 months, mechanical-wise.
Oh, absolutely.
From that stupid four-wheeler. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's torn that thing apart down to the frame and put it back together and put a clutch. I mean, he's done all sorts of shit that he would have never known how to do. I ain't touched one bolt on that thing. He's done it all.
Yeah.
Because the farm machinery, he's watched. I don't expect him to put a feeder house chain in a 96. You know, some of that he physically can't do, and some of that it's like this is a little too expensive to get it wrong. You know. Yeah. So you got to take the bull by the horns there. You can gladly stand here and watch hand tools.
Put a chain on a 4-wheeler, like he knows how to put a master link in.
Absolutely.
Survey America and ask it and tell me how many 14-year-olds can put a master link in a chain.
When I went to the four-wheeler dealership to buy the master link, he didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we went round and round.
He works there.
Yeah, we went round and round for 10 minutes, and he kept bringing all this shit. I'm like, a master link to put a chain together. And finally, I had to get a picture out and show him. I'm like, you're the fucking parts guy? You don't know what a master link for a chain is?
Yeah. Let me guess. He wasn't 40 years old.
No, he was about 24, 25.
Yeah. Yep.
But you work at a four-wheeler place.
Probably couldn't read cursive.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So what do you think if you'd have been 24 years old and you didn't know what a master link
chain was?
What do you think your old man would have done on that deal?
Yeah. That'd have been a Tony Llama right to the crack of the ass is what that would have been.
Yeah. I don't think he would have liked that.
No, not so much. But you can't blame these kids. They've never been around it. You know?
No, nobody's ever let them have any freedom to figure it out.
Yeah. Probably play Super Mario like a madman, though.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yep.
Not a life skill.
Yep. I can tell you one thing. This shop that I built, and this is no Taj Mahal of shops. I mean, by today's standards, you know, nice place, but it's actually one of the best things I've ever done. I mean, honestly, for my kids' sake, they're always in it doing something, and they're not in front of the TV. They're at least doing something.
Yeah. I don't care if it's putting the chain back on a bike. There's a skill there, you know.
Agreed.
Yeah. We've touched on this numerous times, but it's just a different world today, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's plumb scary.
Yeah, that it is. Like, who's going to change the alternator out on a 96 Buick?
Exactly.
You know, we're running out of people that can do that, unfortunately.
If you were going to do a home project today as far as a carpenter goes, who would you call? I mean, I don't really know of anybody around here.
We're getting pretty thin.
That either A, has the skill, or B, I wouldn't be literally 2 years down the line on the deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wish I could carpenter better than I can, and I am.
I can carpenter.
Worst carpenter. I can't carpenter.
I bet I'm worse than you. I'm not into carpentry.
Yeah, not my thing. If I'm doing it, it's going to be out of steel. We're going to weld it in there.
That's one skill I did not get from my dad. He was one of the best carpenters around, and can't do it.
Yeah, I will say if there's one thing I could do better than my dad, it's weld.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the world's best welder by any means, but, you know, he was okay with a stick. We switched to a MIG, gosh, eons ago. Like, he very rarely MIG welded. When I bought the TIG welder for myself, he tried it one time. He's like, yeah, this is your baby. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I bought it.
Yep.
You know, and I taught myself how to do it, and that's fine. I'm not saying I'm Jesse James and can, you know, make it perfect, but I can make it hold, and it'll be fine. But, if I'm making it, it's going to be out of metal. It's sure still going to be out of wood.
Yeah. Carpentry is a hell of a skill. I mean, it truly is. It's
I can't do it. Well, for one, you got to be able to put up with the disaster that is the materials world. Yeah. I bought this 2x4, but it's 1.5 by 3.5. What? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I agree. I agree.
If I buy 2-inch steel, it's 2 inches wide.
Yeah.
Just is, you know. Hopefully nobody from the carpenter industry ever gets over in the metal supply industry. We'll be screwed. Yeah. I can't put up with that type of shit, Tony.
Carpentry, you got to look too far ahead. You know, you got to do this here because 19 steps from now, this piece has to come back in here, and it's like, I just can't see that far ahead.
Well, the solution to carpentry is caulk it. Yeah, we got a gap there, caulk that.
Yeah, spray foam and caulk, that's all we need.
Spray foam and caulk, that's how we fix it all. Yeah. I'm assuming the whole Epcot Center is just built out of spray foam and caulk.
I would think.
Blow a bubble up here, caulk the shit out of it, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's truly an art that I didn't get. My grandpa was a great carpenter. I've always said my kids ought to be damn good carpenters. I mean, their grandpas go in every direction. We're phenomenal carpenters. Yeah. But they ain't going to get it from me, I can tell you that.
Maybe it skipped a generation.
It must have. It must be like heart disease or something.
But some of that, my dad was like, there's people that do that for a living. I've got a skill set over here. I'll rebuild Rusa Master pumps and make horsepower and overhaul shit. And somebody else can build the shit out of wood.
Yep.
So
And that's one thing
I never really tried to pick it up.
that I'm not scared when that's something that I don't know how to do. I have no problem calling somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do one of these deals where you half-ass it together. Now, well, I can't finish it, and not doing that.
Not my jam.
No.
Yeah, I just let the people that do what they do do it correctly, and I'll go do something else that I can muddle through.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying I'm good at anything.
Yeah, and it's even that way on mechanics. I'm not going to bring you a tractor in pieces that I've already tore apart and start dragging shit out of the back of my truck. I'm either going to take you the whole tractor or none of the tractor, one or the other.
Yeah. Dad was always wanting to tie into that. I'm like, no, I'm good there. Like, if I didn't take it apart, I'm probably not putting it together.
Yep.
I think I'm all good there.
Yep. I guess that's one good thing I could say. I've probably got the last 4010 diesel that your dad worked on.
That's for sure. That's for sure. You do. You do, in fact, have that one.
Yeah. It's funny, though, looking back, I always remember him as a mountain of a man, back in the day. Just when you went to the shop, always had a cigar, not lit, hanging out of the corner of his mouth.
Yeah.
And just, he was ready to roll. Didn't have time to talk to nobody. I mean, just.
Yeah, he wasn't free to tie into anything.
Yeah.
Well, we can fix that. We got other shit to do. No, we can fix that. Okay.
Whatever. Oh, I remember over the years, some of the shit that you'd see him drag home tractor-wise. In 806, it was just demolished.
Yeah.
You think, what in the hell are you going to do with this?
Yeah.
Hell, no time he'd have her going.
When he was, probably my age, honestly, or younger, it's like, we got a 306-cylinder Ford here. Let's put a turbo on it. When I was a kid, he had a 76 Ford Imron Black, so it had already been repainted in the early 80s. With a 400 in it on LP and with a turbo.
No shit.
Yeah.
I've never heard of
loaned it to a buddy of his, threw 5 rods to the side of it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he put a turbo on everything.
That was his Saturday afternoon hobby.
I'll put a turbo on something.
Yeah.
Like, man, you know what this thing needs? It needs boost. We'll put a turbo on it. Like he had was it an M or a 450 with a turbo on it, like off a Corvair or something. Like, okay,
He was truly one guy you couldn't get enough horsepower. It didn't matter if it was a microwave, a hair dryer,
whatever we can do to turn this thing up to make it better than it was. Yeah, that's where we're at. And I appreciate that now. I mean, I appreciated it a long time ago. I remember one time we bought a 5288 International, and it wasn't super far from here. So rather than haul it, he just dropped me off, told me to drive it home. There's a pretty big hill in the river bottom. I was driving it up, and I had to shift down going up the hill. And I got home. Dad's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "This thing's a pile of shit." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I had to shift down going up a hill." He's like, "I have spoiled you with horsepower." I'm like, "That's true. You have." But I'm like, if I had a 10-millimeter wrench, I'd have turned it up halfway up the hill. I'm like, this is miserable.
Yeah.
This thing is nowhere close. We had a 52 at that time. I'm like, this thing is nowhere close to our 5288. He's like, "Yeah, probably not." I'm like, "Yeah, it will be before it leaves."
Yeah.
I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I remember we were kids. I'm talking like 6th, 7th grade. I remember you telling numerous times your dad had, he'd buy a 1256, whatever, bring it home, run it 2 rounds of the field. Oh, think you got enough power, rip the side shields off, turn her up right there in the field.
We've turned more than one up in the field. It's like, it won't do it. It will do it now. I remember years ago, and I shouldn't even tell this story, but years ago, he had to take so let me back up. I had borrowed that Expedition, 2000, I think it was a 2000 model Expedition, and I had borrowed it for some reason. And I was clipping along faster than I should have been, but about the time that it shifted into overdrive was about the time it hit the speed limiter. I thought I blew it up because everything just kind of stalled out. And I looked down. I'm like, I'm still good. Maxed it out. Okay. Yeah, okay, no big deal. So like 2 weeks later, something happens. My grandma has to go to the hospital. Dad takes her. He gets, I'm talking about the next day. He's like, "Yeah, I took grandma to the hospital," so on and so forth. He's like, "Hey, we got to do something about this Expedition." I'm like, "What's wrong with it?" He's like, "Well, it tops out at 105. He's like, "That ain't worth a shit when you're in a hurry." He's like, "It's 3:00 in the morning. She's only got minutes to live. Like, I got to get somewhere." He's like, "Order a programmer for that thing. Get rid of that shit." I'm like, just stuff like that. Like, not every dad's doing that, whatever. Like,
this is coming from the guy who backed home, 12 miles?
Yes,
years ago.
Transmission went out in Ford, so he just backed home. Yep.
Literally 12 miles down the highway.
Yeah, down the highway, around the curve, backed home. Yep. You have to call anybody. I'll just back him. That's fine. No big deal. Well, he was a pretty good backer. I remember years and years and years ago. I don't remember the deal. One of his buddies was gone, but needed some wheat cut. I think we cut the wheat. I think. And it was like not a very big patch. Like maybe he'd been cutting wheat and had to leave for whatever reason, a pre-planned vacation, whatever it was, doesn't matter. So it was 2 wagons worth of wheat. And they were, 400, 500 bushel wagons, whatever it was. He's like, just, do whatever you got to do with them. I'll get them when I get back. It wasn't going to be a big time lapse in there. It wasn't supposed to rain, so on and so forth. And Dad backed him in the shed together. And that guy was like, the hell did you do?
Yeah.
That's why I backed him in the shed, like you told me. Well, like I just pulled him through here, there. He just swung in this shed. It's kind of a lean-to shed. So you could just swung him in, park some other shit out of the way, whatever. Nope, Dad backed them both in. Took him a little bit, but not bad. And guy's like, I can't back for shit. I could have never got that done, just stuff like that.
Yep.
And my grandpa was probably better at backing that stuff than my dad was. I don't know if that's necessarily translated to my brother and I. I can back a wagon, but it's not going to be as good as when he did it. I can tell you that.
I can do decent on wagons if I'm on a tractor. Trucks, it's like
Truck's
they just don't got enough turn radius.
Well, a tractor, you can stomp the brake, this, that, and the other. You can get it in there, And those guys did that every night for, 50 nights in a row, a year, like that was the deal. So I don't have the experience either, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to farming with wagons. That just does not
gosh.
turn me on in the least.
No, I remember getting some of those first big wagons thinking we were really cutting a fat hog in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. I wouldn't want to go back to it now. I still got a couple. We don't use them for much, though.
Nope. Now it's basically to set by the auger to dump the grain cart in them and keep
now
rolling.
I just try to position the hopper to do it, and I'll just run it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen your video on TikTok with all the remote shit on the 1466. People like that. That was quite the...
Yeah, I need to do another video on that. So my brother came up with that deal, and it was actually for Dad. Unfortunately, he never got to use it, but that was his birthday gift, I think. But yeah, my brother came up with all that. It works slicker than shit like that.
Yep. You could start the tractor, turn the PT?
You can start the tractor. Well, we just leave
it on. Yeah. Yep.
But you can start it, rev it up and down, shut it off, all from the remote. He didn't have a ton in it. It works good. Needless to say, I think there'll be a few more of those show up on the farm now. Because
your brother's good on that shit.
He hauled the grain this fall, and well, even the day that Kelly and I harvested by ourselves, my brother was gone, had something to do with his son, and I talked my wife into running the grain cart, and we just had the hopper bottom over top of the auger. It was right there at the farm. I'm like, hey, we're gonna shell this off. Just run up here, dump it in the truck, let the auger run. I'm like, if it's empty when you get there, click it twice, bump it down just a little bit. That way, it's always got grain in it.
Yep.
I thought I had it timed out pretty good. She had to click it once or twice to slow it down just a touch. All good to go. It kept up. We just rolled around there, hit the button. Like when my brother was running in there, he'd just pull up with the truck because we're at a different farm. Start it up, hit the button, kicks everything on, dump it in there, blow it in. It catches it. You're good. Shut it off, drive off. Same thing when you get back. It is super handy rather than getting up and down or going over there, so on and so forth.
It literally has over twice as many. You know what I mean? You get out of the truck and you got to walk all the way around, or depending on which way you're headed, I guess, but climb up on there.
My dad had a bad hip and a bad ankle, so crawling up and down, getting in and out of the truck was a pain in the ass for him. Yeah. So, and walking over the tractor, all that, so as many steps as I could save him, was just a benefit for everybody. But yeah, actually did work really, really, really slick.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. A lot of people on TikTok wanted more info on that deal. Was that some sort of kit that he bought or built?
No, he built it.
Yeah. I seen a guy probably 2 years ago on TikTok had something like that on a John Deere.
They make a kit for it, but it's uber expensive.
The one that this guy had, it was more of like a pedestal stand. that you put kind of over where the truck would pull up by. Then you just got out and you had all that shit just on a box there to run. It didn't have a remote or nothing.
Yeah. This one is basically an actuator on a throttle rod because it's a metal rod on a 14. So it's basically an actuator with an electric box hooked to it, wireless, of course. And, works out really, really, really slick.
Yeah, looked like it was pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it come out pretty well.
And you realize, nowadays there's a lot of them tractors on augers.
Yeah.
Back when we were kids, them were the horses. They were doing work, and you had an M or something on it.
Yeah, we could just walk right up there. But now it's a little bit bigger deal, and, it worked out well. Worked out really well. Hats off to him for that.
Yeah. Your brother's good at that kind of shit, though.
Absolutely.
He can always piece that shit together, and he's good.
Yeah, when it comes to all that stuff, he'll put the time in and figure it out and make it work. Yeah. Takes it as a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I need to do a video on that. Get the old Heston on there, too. We was talking earlier. Get the old Heston tractor on there.
Yeah, I need to do some on those. Just haven't done it. Which is a laundry list of things I haven't done. But
yeah, time gets away from you.
Yeah, it don't take long. This fall I really didn't even do any videos, and I should have. Yeah. I should have done some. I just didn't. Harvest went pretty smooth, and we got most of the gas on. That went smooth. And
was your family good at taking pictures? Like my family never was, and
now they were okay back in the day, but digital age just killed that. I kicked myself in the ass. Like when I was a sophomore in college, I remember when I was a freshman, and you'd have an event, and there'd be a photog there, and they would take pictures, and there'd be a book the next week or whatever, and you'd mark down what you wanted and put your money in the envelope, and you get the pictures. They went digital the next year. My sophomore year, they went digital. I didn't want to put my credit card in over the system or whatever, because I'm scared. So I don't do that. So I literally have no pictures from my sophomore year to my senior year.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really kicked myself in the ass for that. Like there's 1,000 good times in there. I literally didn't buy a single picture from my sophomore year to my senior year. And that was dumb.
Nowadays, I think all that stuff gets lost. You take it on your cell phone, and then 2 years later, you get a new phone, and you lose some of that stuff. You're like, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. Next thing you know,
print them out.
Yeah,
this phone still works. I'll turn it on. I'll get them sometime. Then next thing you know, it won't turn on. I got 3 of them laying at my house now. Yep. It won't turn on.
Yeah.
And those are just gone. Mom was pretty good back in the day for some of that, but then you're looking at them, some of them get lost, so on and so forth. But yeah, take the picture. That's for sure. Do what you can there. That's one thing I regret. Like, farming with my dad my whole life. There's 0 pictures of my brother and my dad and I farming together. Mm-hmm. None. I got a few of us pulling together. I got none of us farming together. And it breaks my heart. Yeah. It's like there were several times 10 seconds was all it would have took, but we didn't do it.
Well, a lot of that stuff is stuff that you forgot about.
Yeah.
A certain tractor here that it still don't mean nothing to nobody. It was like, it just sparks that memory. Oh, hell, I remember we had that for a couple of years and, either hated this about it or loved this about it or whatever.
Did this field and it was whatever it was, we just didn't take the picture, Usually Mom was at home and that was who took the pictures. And, I look back now, it's like, there's a picture of Dad with his, it's not, Dad's not even in the picture, but it's like his 60-some Chevy and the 69 Dodge Charger. They're the same color, more or less, sitting there along the street back when they lived in town. It's like, that's awesome. I bet how many vehicles, I got no pictures of any of them.
Same here.
I just never took the time.
I don't have pictures of any vehicle I've ever had. I mean, I really don't.
I think I miss out. There's a picture somewhere, I got to find it, of Dad with his 69 Charger and his best friend at the time with his 69 Charger. They both bought the same day. Neither one of them knew the other one was getting one. They're the same color, but the same car the same day. Somewhere that picture exists, but I can't find it.
Really?
It's around the house somewhere. But, just little stuff like that, like, I just don't have, I just don't do that stuff now.
Yeah.
We've had how many tractors, There's an old 1066, this, that, and the other. Like, I'll never get it back. I remember it was Dad's way, way, way back. There's a picture of him and Heath with it. I'd love to have it back now. I have no idea what tractor it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was a 10, but
Yeah, no way to track the exact
serial number from it. Like, I don't have no idea where it went. You know, I just don't know. You know, and most of the stuff we had after that, there's not even a picture of it.
Yeah.
You know, just doesn't exist.
Yeah, my family was never big on pictures, and I would give anything to have pictures from when I was a kid of Grandpa and I farming together. You know, that 4010, what it looked like when I was a kid, which back then was, I mean, it was an okay tractor. It wasn't showroom floor, but it wasn't, I mean, it was in a hell of a lot worse shape when I got it.
Yeah.
Of course, it had 30 more years on it, too.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
But, yeah, that and the old 4230 with a year-round cab and M&W kit on it, too, which is kind of a rare bird, which I still know where that tractor's at, and I'm going to try to buy that thing. Just, I have no use for it, but it'd be just like this tractor because I want it.
I mean, Dad had a ton of cool shit back in through the days. We had, you know, a plethora of pickups over the years, this, that, and the other. Like, I got pictures of none of that shit.
Yeah.
And that really breaks my heart now to not, you know. I want those pictures. Of those
Like
memories.
your old 250R four-wheeler. You got pictures of that?
Not a single one.
I'm thinking of the countless hours of fun you had on that thing. I mean,
thousands of hours of fun on that thing. No idea. You know, like, to this day, like, I want another one. I really just want that one. But if I find one, I'm like, well, that one's red. Mine was blue. I really want a blue one. I prefer red. I'm a red guy.
Yeah.
But I want a blue one because that's what I had.
Yep.
You know, I'd buy one either way, but I really want a blue one, you know?
Yeah, I totally get it. Which it's almost going the other way now. I mean, can you still buy a disposable camera at Walmart? Maybe you can. I don't know.
I don't know. I assume you can. I've still got film. This is no shit. I've still got film. So the house I lived in college had this big mailbox deal at the top of the stairs, and everybody had their own mailbox. And I always kept a camera in my mailbox. My grandma bought it for me when I was in high school. And I always kept this camera in there. And I've still got like 3 rolls of film from that camera that I've never got developed.
Is that right?
Now they might develop. Back in the day, they probably wouldn't, because there's probably some shit on there you don't want to see. But I need to get that done. We got a whole bag of film that's never been developed. I need to get that done too.
Yeah, you ought to do it.
Probably can't even get it done anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably bad now. But, you know, just shit that would happen. People grab that camera, snap a picture, put it back in the mailbox. Was what it was. I'm sure there's a ton of stupid shit. Probably some indecent exposure. Whatever it is. You know, probably some rough stuff on there. But, yeah, I need to get that developed.
I am glad when I went on Weed Harvest in 1998, day after I graduated high school, Mom or somebody sent a whole bag of disposable cameras. You know, back then that's what you had. You didn't have fancy. And I mean, I took pictures all summer. And I've got a whole album. You know, I got a 9610 Combine sitting in my shop now, and we were running 9600s, which is older than that, which was the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you ever need anything bigger or nicer than this?
Yeah.
And I mean, I got a whole album full of that shit.
The first year I went to Bowling Green on my own was in 1997. And I bought 4 disposable cameras before I went. Now, I do still have most of those pictures. And they're not great pictures. They're from far away, but I took a picture of a bunch of tractors that day. I'm like, 90% of those tractors don't even exist anymore. I mean, for sure, the guy that had them then doesn't have them now.
Yeah.
You know, there's a ton of them right on the starting line. I was sitting there and I clicked, click, 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 and walked around the pits, clicked that. Of course, then I could be a little more incognito than now. But you got a ton of pictures from that stuff. They don't mean anything to anybody else.
Yeah.
But I flipped through them like, oh, I remember that year. Like, went out there with 3 buddies, had a great time, took pictures of this, stayed here, stayed there, did whatever. It was a great time.
Bowling Green 2024, you and I are going to set a new trend with disposable cameras and start taking pictures. Could you imagine the looks you'll get?
So this actually, this plays into that. So last year, my daughter and I are horse riding in the Shawnee National Forest. And I told my wife the Christmas before that, I'm like, I would like a digital camera. She's like, what? I'm like, well, I'm always scared I'm going to drop my phone. You never do anything with your phone. Like, those pictures are on your phone, but you don't do anything with them. I'm like, and I'm worried about dropping it, carrying on, so on and so forth. I'm like, I would like a Kodak Easy Share, essentially.
Yeah.
So she got me one. So we're at this monumental place in the forest, big rocks, whatever. My daughter I'm like right up in front of that, and I wheel out this Kodak Easy Share from my pocket. I click the power button on, the little thing extends so it can zoom, this, that, and the other. And there was a gal, one of my buddy's wives, was like, "Did you just pull out a digital camera?" I'm like, "Absolutely." She's like, "I haven't seen one of those in a decade." I'm like, "Actually, this one's like 3 months old." She's like, "Really? They still sell those?" So fast forward, I still don't do anything with the pictures. So like a month ago, my daughter and I are down there again. And we're at this, unique place that we've never been before, big rock cliff, so on and so forth. I wheel that bad boy out because I find it in my vest. It's been there the whole time, but I don't wear that thing on a regular basis. I'm patting around. I'm like, shit, I've got a camera with me. Hold on a second. So I wheel this bad boy out. I take some pictures. I am too stupid to be able to scroll back while I'm riding a horse to figure out what's on it before. It was still charged up. It was still good. So I got to go back and figure out what's on it from before that I haven't developed from the last time. But I got to get those off of there.
You want to shock this lady. You should do like my grandma. She died in 2013 at the age of 96. And to the day she died, she used the great big giant Polaroid to spit the picture out the front.
That's the best way to do it because then you have the picture.
Exactly.
Then you're good to go.
Yep.
We got to bring that back. Can we bring back the Polaroid in a better scenario, like better quality?
My brother and I used to laugh, like with today's technology, we're like, we need to kick this really old school, get everybody in the bar, like, oh, let's take a selfie, but have one of the old style cameras where it makes the giant flash with the whole ball of smoke. Do it right in the bar.
Absolutely. My aunt used to film everything and take pictures of stuff at every family event. Basically carrying a 40 million power spotlight around.
That's how my father always records everything. We can go out there tomorrow. He's going to record it.
Yeah. Had it all. Yeah. Yeah, bring that back.
Yeah. Yeah. But hell, I'm the same way. As far as actual printed pictures, my wife's probably got, let's see, Henry's 14, soon to be 15. She's probably got actual printed pictures from the time he was, basically it was till the time Cora was born. I don't know if we have a single picture of Josie printed anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife was really good for a while. She started email accounts for both kids and sent all the pictures to their email. Now, whether or not anybody can get into that email at this point in time, but all those pictures are there somewhere.
Yep.
Allegedly. But I have no idea how to get into it.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. I can't even tell
what the address is.
A lot of these kids are going to miss some of their childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents had a few pictures. I mean, it wasn't tons, but I mean, enough. Yeah. I mean,
We got to bring the Polaroids back. That's a good point. I want new Polaroid cameras that print them off better.
Yep.
That's the movement I'm starting.
Which I never watched my grandma load one of them. What kind of film does that shit I mean, it
was some sort of cartridge deal, I think.
It must have been, because hers always had the 4 or 5 great big flash bulbs. Did you stuck in the top, and then it spit the picture out the front? But
you just shake it. Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yep.
Yeah. Today's kids will never know.
No, they won't.
They're missing out.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast technology has come just in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a bunch of old pulling videos and stuff on, was it 35 millimeter or whatever? Yeah. Yeah, we sent it all in, had it digitized, but they did a really weird job of it. Like they didn't separate any of it, so it's pulling to family stuff to pulling to family stuff. Like it's so helter skelter. Like they were labeled going into it, but they're not labeled coming out of it. Now it's all on a USB, and you never know where you're going to be. Yeah. But watching the old pulling stuff is pretty neat. But
that'd make a hell of a TikTok channel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's no sound, but it's still pretty cool.
You see these guys, which back then was a super hot tractor, but he's going down the track with an 806 with no fenders, maybe a helmet on if he's lucky. Yeah. Open face helmet. No
3.5 mile an hour. Yeah. Got a fat hog in the ass.
Yeah. I just thought it was the most badass tractor on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was at the time.
It was, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's my other piece of advice. Take the time to take the picture. I'm not good about it, but I need to be better about it.
But yeah, because the flip side is that it's like I'm ready to delete Snapchat, which I never, ever, ever post on Snapchat. I probably had it for 5 years and I've literally posted twice on Snapchat. I just never post. But is it like a rule that if you go to a concert, you have to post it on Snapchat. It's like, dude, if I wanted to see fucking Cody Johnson in concert, I went to the fucking concert. I don't need to watch it on Snapchat. But I mean, it's like they snap the entire concert. It's like, I don't need to see this shit.
It's just like fireworks. And the video doesn't do it justice, so just don't. But no. Like that, because need to be better about
it. The flip side of that is anytime we go on vacation or go somewhere cool or whatever, I always tell the wife, don't watch the whole vacation through your phone. Watch it with your own eyes, you know. I don't know. I rolled it. To me, that's always the last thing that I worry about is taking a picture or video of it. I don't care.
Yeah. I have videoed very little of that, and then you try to go back and watch it. It's like same thing. Like next time I go, I don't even get my phone out.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Kid Rock a few times. I videoed some the first time. Like, no, I'll just watch it all the second time and remember it.
Because like you say, it don't do it any justice on video as to what it is in person.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And some of that only means something to you anyway. So not even worth videoing.
I see all these people, like the times we've been in Alaska and been in Yellowstone. You've got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of a bear, attacking an elk, and they're watching it through a cell phone lens. I'm like, forget it. Just watch it with your own eyes, Yeah.
Because
like you say, that don't mean anything to anybody but you standing there. I can watch that all day long on YouTube. So just enjoy the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know. Times have changed.
That's for sure. But, we've come full circle.
Yeah, we have.
Too.
Everybody's traveling for the holidays. I felt like we should have done like a really, really, really long one, but I just don't think it's there tonight.
Yeah, maybe we'll shoot another one. Who knows?
Well, we could.
We probably ought to wrap this one up so our listeners can get a little taste of what they've been missing. Sorry, guys. We'll try to be better in the future. Yeah, we've said that like 1,000 times.
We might have to do one of them good rant podcasts. We've done some of them where we just
need a good rant podcast.
Just right out the gate where we just get
tie into it and just dive in and tear people limb from limb.
Yeah, because I've had enough taxes and all that other shit. But we got to save that for another one. But But nonetheless, you don't have to go to Minnesota, the only state that didn't vote for Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, exactly.
For the holidays, they're all coming to you, and we're going to do some podcasts with some of your family.
Yeah, that's what I hear. So that should be super interesting.
Yeah, and I don't really know the details. I have no idea.
I don't either.
Your brother-in-laws, your nieces, your nephews.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was just told that I need to be available for that. So,
but this is my crystal ball prediction, and I hope they're all listening on the way here, because this is my crystal ball prediction that. This was actually because our wives have a podcast, my wife and Nick's wife. So I think it was their idea, but I think the crystal ball prediction that I have is you and I are going to have to do this because we're more chatty.
Yeah.
But then all the women are going to get involved, and we're not going to get to talk at all.
Yeah. So I'd say that's accurate.
We're going to pick the topic, start the sentence, and then going to get talked over.
Yep. I'd say that's very, very, very accurate. Yeah. Well, you guys, you'll dive into it better. I'm like, for about 30 seconds, and you guys will take over.
Yeah.
But you guys won't dive into it unless we do. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to bring this up. If that's the case, and we're podcasting with them, we're going to call them out on this. So like, called it 2 nights ago. Here you go. You heard it right here first on the Straightforward Party Podcast.
Yep.
But
it should be coming soon.
Yep. So anyway, we didn't mean to bore you guys with this one, but it has been since September 1st.
Yeah.
Since we've dropped it.
We'll try to make it a priority this winter.
Yeah, we're going to get some stuff moved out to the shed here and maybe try to do things a little bit different. And things are slowing down a little bit now. Yeah. I've actually been busy for 2 months. I really have.
Me too. Yeah.
So we'll get things moving along here and try to get some quality content. Be a little more consistent through the winter here. We'll try to get one once a month instead of once every 3 months. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Travel safe. We'll see you next time.